3, 2, 1, and welcome back to Chasing the Racing, episode 7, with the man himself, Dom the Bomb Herbertson.
And across from me is the world's sexiest maths teacher. We all know him. We all love him. It's Chrissy the Rouse.
Spot on. And our sponsor for this podcast is Easy Grip. One of yours, I think, this, Dom. Would you like to explain?
One of those. Yeah, so no, they've come on board to sponsor the podcast, which is awesome of them. And so let me give you the professional, the little outgoing thing, because last time you did it for KRG, there you did an awesome job, so I'm trying to replicate that. So here comes me year 5 English lessons coming in nicely to read out loud, so bear with us. Right, Easy Grip, established in 2011, Easy Grip brand continues to grow and strengthen, working alongside top race teams and me to develop high-performance tanks grips, stone chip protection and racing products. Heading into our 7th year, Easy Grip is now sold in more than 20 countries. Very impressive. Establishing as a global presence in motorcycle marketplace. With consistent development and ever-evolving product range, the Easy Grip brand is becoming approved and determined product. Here goes, my brain's gone to shit.
You're just reading the whole bio.
I am. I'm literally, I'm 2 lines off. Ready to go. Product by professional race teams and everyday riders. There we go. But
Spot on.
Hold on, let me tell you how I got to know him. Right, Joe Walton, Lord Joe Walton, right, is an absolute legend of a human being. He really is. Privateer, club racer. He's actually racing the No Limits Championship, and there's money in that,
Oh, I know.
There's cash money in that, young.
Unfortunately, if you're
a rock star like you,
if you're racing BSB, you can't collect the money, because I actually did the No Limits thing at the beginning of last year for a bit of testing. Aye. And I won it by quite a bit, and then I think me and my teammate Jordan couldn't. No, if you've scored points in BSB or top 15 or whatever, then you can't collect it. But
I bet you would go.
I tell you what, I think there's another championship that's putting money up this year. Bempsey are putting money up, I think, for a championship. So it's good. I think it's good to have a little incentive, and it's a nice little reward for the lads at the front of it.
Well, that's it. Put the money back into the sport.
Anyway, what were you going?
I know. Well, he's doing that championship this year, and no, he's in the pre-injection class. So I'm not sure if there's money in that, but he kind of spuffed himself into the distance last year. He put himself in he had a big off, like a really big off. But bar that, he's absolutely grand now, which is awesome. But I'm trying to think. Here we go. That's it. The story's coming back to us. So obviously, Easy Grip, big professional company, but obviously, as we all know, we all like to have a bit of crack. Now, what Joe did, one of his friends, Aaron Hans, he's another good lad as well. He's racing a ZX6. But what he did, obviously, he got the stomp grips, he got the tank pads and everything like that, and obviously going to give it Aaron. So he thought to himself, well, how can I embarrass one of my mates? So what he did, now, he got a box and he printed off a label. Now, on the label was it was a sex toy. It was what are they called, man? You know what they are, Rusey. Come on, you know what they are. no, they're like flashlights. So basically, it's a masturbation tool, really. So anyway, he stuck it on the front of this box, and obviously he's posted it off. And obviously the postman, well, in this case it was a postwoman, obviously has come to deliver this box. And there's Aaron's face totally dropped off, and this woman goes, "So which one have you picked then?" Because we can imagine there's Joe absolutely pissing himself a million miles away from his house. But hey, you got to have good crack. But no, Joe, Easy Grip, thank you so much for sponsoring the pod. You're an absolute legend, mate. And good luck for your season.
Aye, spot on. Best of luck. What about this week? You been up to much?
Well, bar today, I got pink eye. Honestly, I've been rubbing my eyes that much. It's unreal. I've been felling ashtrays. It's dead fine dust. It's been just clogging us up. Aye. And it just looks like I've got hay fever. With the weather we've had, it could easily be hay fever.
I tell you what, you wouldn't think it's February. Like over the last week or so, we've had some banging days. Like
18 plus degrees, man. It's been literal t-shirt weather. It's been awesome. But how about your week, mate? How about your week?
Just steady, mate. Nothing really to report. Obviously, I really enjoyed watching the bike racing back on TV at the weekend. Getting to see a bit of World Superbikes. We'll discuss that later in more detail. But that was nice. And
So what you got lined up today then? What we got lined up today?
so topics for today, we're going to speak a little bit of, there's a bit of road news, so there's a few things to discuss in that, but we've just sort of put it as one category of road news.
There's loads going on.
And then World Superbikes, obviously the first round, Bautista dominating all three races, if you include that sort of Super Pole sprint race.
It was more like a bloody Viking invading a country. You know what I mean? He came over, burnt villages, took the women, and he just ran off with it.
So
totally ran off
we'll have a bit crack about that. And then I stuck a Twitter Q&A on this week, so we've had some absolutely smashing questions through. So we're going to address a few of those. And yes, a few people raised some really interesting points, so we'll sort of delve into each question. I think we've picked about 4 or 5, and we'll run through that. And then to finish off, we've got our lovely Helen Graham, who's our marshal of the pod. So I will have a bit crack with her. So
let's go straight into it.
The first topic, roads news. So I think it was just today. Obviously, we're recording Thursday. Alistair Seeley has just been announced as joining the Paul Bird Ducati team on the brand new V4 Ducati for the Northwest 200. Seeley, who's the most successful man around the
24 wins.
Yeah,
be 24 wins. Yeah,
around the triangle. Wins. And what do you make of it? Do you think you can take it to Glen?
Well, needless to say, it's obviously a bit of a role reversal, isn't it? This time over, because obviously Seeley was on the Tyco bikes last year, but then Glen just hopped up on that Ducati and absolutely just hulled away at me. Mm-hmm. Now, don't get me wrong, there was a good fight all the way up to the end, but the sheer power of the Ducati. But there's Seeley just sitting there going, well, I want to be on one of the best bikes. Mm-hmm. So he's just gone and knocked on Paul Bird's door. Obviously, the news only came out, 2 hours, 3 hours ago, that obviously the ins and outs of how the deal came across aren't exactly out there yet. But needless to say, when you've got the weight of a smack addict and the actual physical body of a 4-year-old boy on top of a MotoGP bike, yeah, let's just imagine what's going to happen, you know, and the lad can ride the bloody wheels off a motorcycle, so it's going to be... He's going to take some... He's
a crafty old fox, Seeley, around the Northwest, isn't he?
What, you mean he'll blow someone off the track, you mean?
No, he is. He's always there or thereabouts, and he's clever on that last lap, you know, the last bit of the circuit, the coast road, and they've got those few chicanes. He is a very intelligent racer. However,
aggressive.
I'm saying against Glen, there's a lot of strong competition at the Northwest. I personally think it's probably Glen's the man to beat.
I totally agree. Now, I think I was with you, but bloody hell, that shocked. I think that's going to shock a lot of people. That Ducati, it's a brand new one. Mm-hmm. Well, you saw what the Viking was doing in World Superbike. What's it, Bautista? I know Worlds is totally different, and you've got a MotoGP lad on a MotoGP bike, but look at the sheer power of the bloody thing. I think Glen is very much the one to watch. I'm a Glen Irwin fan, but come on, this Ducati's just going to be serious work.
Yeah, and usually Glen obviously only races in the big class. So like last year he was just out on the 1,000, where this year he's out on the 600 as well. So he'll be out in, is it 6 races?
Is he in the 600 or the super? I know he's got a super twin.
He's got a super twin and a super sport, I think.
He's got a stock.
Oh, is he? Okay, well he'll
I
be
hope
in more
I
races.
might be wrong.
I thought he was in the 600 as well, because I seen something on Twitter about him.
Seeley's got a 600. He's on the EHA Supersport R6.
Oh, right, okay. I'm almost sure Glen. We'll have to check that, but I'm pretty sure Glen is on the Supersport as well.
Next week.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean it'll be interesting one to watch, and I'm really looking forward to. I think there's a bit of needle between those two, and I think there's been a bit crack on Twitter and that. And here's a question for you. I know I haven't actually been over the Northwest to watch, but I know like a lot of lads that go over. My mechanic Piggy, or our mechanic Piggy, is.
Oh, well, I've got him on loan.
Yeah, he's there every year. He told me that even though Alistair Seeley's the local boy there at the Northwest 200, everyone seems to cheer if he doesn't win. So if someone doesn't matter who it is, if someone beats Alistair Seeley, everyone seems to not want Alistair Seeley to win. Is that just because he always wins, or why is he not liked by the locals?
I actually have no idea. Well, actually, one of my good friends and family who pretty much out of Enniskillen there God love them, but they are very highly opinionated on Mr. Seeley. But so you can imagine when I ask them, they're just gone, "Bleh." No, I didn't understand a word you said. But yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it. You know what I mean? But that's the fun of the sport. You get the rivalries, you get the tension, you get the drama, and everyone loves a bit of drama. But no, to put a definitive answer on it, I can't. I don't know why people boo him, but he's like Marmite, I suppose. You either love him or you hate him. He's not that in betweeny.
I don't. I did actually follow like a bit of a Twitter thread, and you know when you click on a sort of a comment and then it links you to loads more, and you sort of end up reading through. And I think somebody had said something really negative about him, and his girlfriend was tweeting him, or I think it's fiance or whatever, was like proper sticking up for him, but like proper having to go back. And I had a good laugh reading it. That actually reminds us once. There was one time at Cadwell Park, I wasn't racing one year, so I just went down to help me pal Josh, and I was doing his pit board in the super sport race, and I got down. I've never done a pit board before, so I went down and I wasn't really sure what I was doing.
You had it backwards, numbers one.
Anyway, I got down in a like super sport race. I was a bit nervous, and I getting all the numbers already and that, and I got down on pit lane, and it was actually Alistair Seeley's missus I was stood next to, and I don't know if she was stressed or whatever, but she kept telling us off for like putting me board out too soon and putting it up too high and too low, and so-and-so's boarding there, and I felt like I was, when you're not used to doing it, you're just out your depth of it, and the
adrenaline's high.
I seem to really piss her off that day. I don't know why. But that's by the by anyway. By the by. So Seeley on the Ducati. We've also just heard Maria Costello is out on the pattern.
She'll be on for it. Well, we've discussed the patterns on the show before. She's on for a good result. She really is. I'm trying to think it's the Mark Coverdale bike. Ian Locker. That was the Ian Locker outfit.
So is that the one Joe Thompson was on last year?
I'm assuming it must be, because obviously Joey Thompson's he's retired.
Aye.
Obviously, I don't know what's going on with that situation at the moment, as they say. But no, I'm assuming that is the bike. But obviously, Maria, hell of a good rider, and she'll be on for a good result on a brilliant bike. So hats off.
When you say a good result, what are you sort of expecting? Do you think she can do as well as what Joey was doing, sort of battling right at the front, or?
Well, you see, the patterns have become very consistent as bikes. And I think the outstanding result last year in that Super Twin race was Derek McGee. Obviously, it was the KMR. It was them. Ryan Farquhar bikes.
Yes.
Yeah. And that was the older shape ER.
Was that KMR?
KMR. Yeah. Aye, so it was KMR. That was the only bike out there that's not recent. It was the older shape one, not the Z650 or whatever it's called now. So the bike's more than capable, but out of the top 10, 6 of them won patterns. So they're not.
Is this at the TT?
This is at the TT. This.
Oh,
so
right.
you think 6 over the line out of patterns? Obviously, Michael won it. You had Ian Lockers in there. You had Joey's. You had some private.
Was out on one, wasn't he?
Yeah, he won the race.
Yeah.
So the bike's definitely something to be on with. So at the end of the day, Maria's got a lot of course knowledge around there.
Aye.
But I think really she should be on for a top 10.
Well,
I would say that's a good result. Well, for around there, you've got to finish it first, obviously. So I think Peter Hickman, he hasn't announced anything. I don't think he's on a twin.
Right. Okay.
I'm trying to think. He was in the. God, Bennett. I really should do more homework before we do these podcasts.
Yeah.
I am very sorry.
What about yourself for this year? Have you got anything lined up for the twin yet?
At the moment, I'm still in talks, which is brilliant. Just obviously details and logistics. By the way, obviously you can sponsor this pod, but if you want to sponsor me and Chrissy personally as well, do not be shy to ask. Because Christ, we're on the bones of our asses here. But we're all. If you go racing, we all know it costs a lot of money. But if there's any millionaires, for the love of God, help. Help. It's like a charity plea, this, isn't it? Adopt a racer for £3 a month. Next subject. Let's swiftly move on here.
I seen Lee Johnson's got a beautiful new outfit, new team to the paddock. I see it looks the business like
What's it called?
Ash Court Racing, I think.
Lovely, isn't it?
Yeah. The colour. Do you know what those colours? Like that sort of baby blue colour. When back in the back in 2013, the old Triumph Triple Challenge.
Aye.
That year you could choose whatever colour you wanted. So like I had my own bike, my own team essentially. Stratstone Triumph lent us the bike for the year, and then we could basically do what we want with it.
That's good.
And that was the colour I chose, and it came back from when I was on 125. Steve Patrickson. Steve's been around for years and years. He always runs like a baby blue colour on his 125, and then I adapted that to the Triumph, and it was one of my favourite bikes I've ever had. That, and I proper like the colour. When I first ever started watching BSB as a proper youngster, it was the Rizzler Suzuki. It was the same colour. Can you remember the Rizzler Suzukis?
Oh, yes, aye.
And John Reynolds and Yukio Kagiyama. Can you remember him?
Nah.
Pass. Jap guy. But I
wouldn't have guessed.
But I would actually
say commentary, is he? Oh, that's grand.
I would actually say that was one of my favorite bike designs of all time. So and to be honest, I think Lee'll do a smashing job. He always does what goes well at the Northwest. He's a little rocket ship, and I think he'll do a really good job this year. When
he was on for East Coast Racing, that was a home team from me. You know, he had the bikes, he had the good crack, and obviously, I think where did he go? The following year after that was like Jackson Race, and then after that was like Honda, and obviously just getting his head level. He's recently become a dad, everything like that. Mm-hmm. But obviously, it's a big job him running his own team. But the best thing for him is the fact that he's got power of his own destiny. Mm-hmm. And I really do believe he should get good results, and he wants it. He can tell he wants good results. So power to the lad. Power to the lad. He's a Fermanagh man. I was mentioning the Skilling before. He's there, yeah. So Fermanagh will go up in smoke. Oh God, you can't say that anymore. There you go.
He's a top lad, Lee, and he's proper good crack. I don't know if you follow him on Instagram, but he's always putting funny stories on his Instagram, and he is proper good crack.
He's a good lad.
He comes down to North Yorkshire usually once a year, and we'll get some good stories out of him. I think he'll go very well this year. So looking forward to seeing how that goes. Any more road news, or is that it for the day?
Obviously, Oliver's Mount, but we actually haven't got anything that we've discussed that before. Oliver's Mount are apparently giving a big hoo-ha about a big reveal, because obviously we're discussing, is it going to come back, is it not, money, this, councils, all that. So we're hopefully going to get a definitive answer, and the way the media's putting it, it's going to happen. That's what people are reading into at the moment. Mm-hmm. But until then, we don't know. But what do you know about it, Chrissy?
Same sort of thing. I've been following the sort of the crack on Twitter, and that Bike Sport News published an article a couple of days ago. Andy Kershaw, he's an old radio DJ. My dad's actually read his autobiography a while ago. He's when he was proper young, in his early 20s, he was introducing what's it called, Live Aid concerts and that.
All right.
And he's had an amazing life,
travelled the world.
He's travelled the world, and he's an interesting person, but he's a massive bike fanatic, and he's leading a sort of consortium. I think there's loads of names included, like Mick Grant, Eddie Roberts. Eddie runs Pirelli, no Complog in this country. He sorts all the tyres for the BSB and that.
Oh,
his daughter Sarah has just got married to Jake Dixon.
Oh, right.
This year. And
does he get cheaper tyres?
Nick Jeffries. So I think they've all sort of clubbed together, and they are getting something sorted. And just going off I've got no inside information, but just going off what it says on the Bike Sport News, it looks like that the consortium of they're looking to get at least 2 events sorted, including the Gold Cup this year. So
good.
They come to an arrangement with the council. So hopefully we'll see some racing. It was one of the Twitter questions, so that sort of answered that.
There we go.
So if it does go ahead, will you be planning to race there?
Yeah, well, I've been a couple of times. It's obviously we'll just see what happens. I think it'll be good to get back on the bandwagon as such. And no, I think if it's obviously in the timetable, and if the new team Davies Motorsport fancy going, I won't be objecting one bit. It's a good meeting, and let's hope it's ran better. Who said that? No, but hey, before we jump any further, quickly about roads and stuff. I know it's not about roads; it's more BSB. But obviously, you've got another Irwin coming to the BSB, haven't you?
Yes.
And one of your competitors.
So I'll be lining up against them. So it's Glenn and Andy's brother, Graham.
Graham, that's
so
it.
He's from the world of motocross. Big name in motocross.
He's a hell of a rider, isn't he?
Factory racer, and he's British. I think it's MX1 champion or MX2 champion, one of the two. I don't really follow motocross.
That's normal.
He's a top lad, and he's had an injury to his scaphoid, so he can't. He's had to retire basically from motocross. But with his injury, he can still do circuit racing. So he's gonna start circuit racing this year. And obviously, if he's anything like his brothers, I'm sure he'll do a great job.
Well, it's not just that; it's a racecraft. He's got the aggression. He knows how to, put that bike or tarmac. It'll be good to see.
It'll be interesting, and I'm sure like throughout the year I'm sure he'll be competitive to start with, but I'm sure as the year goes on and he gets more and more experience on the tarmac, he'll be closer and closer at the front. And I think nobody would bet against him coming on really strong at the end of the season. So yeah, another person to watch out for, and sort of another interesting dynamic to the championship for this year.
Looking forward to it.
So moving on to topic number 2, so World Superbikes. Obviously, Phillip Island at the weekend. Nice to see some bikes back out there. Did you manage to get up and watch the races?
Did I? Bollocks. Well, I just woke up to ping, 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 ping. Ducati this, Ducati that. People are upset. Irishman crying. This, that. Just like, what a bloody weekend. Walk me through it, Rousset. Walk me through it.
Well, I think, everyone's just talking about Bautista and the new Ducati. Absolutely dominating. But I guess the way you've got to think about it is, though, obviously Chaz Davies took a fight to Johnny Ray last year on the other Ducati. And if Bautista hadn't turned up this year, everyone would be saying, what's up with the Ducati? They're nowhere this year, but Bautista's turned up on it and he's absolutely flying. And obviously there's loads of crack about it clearly was a lot faster in a straight line than the Kawasaki.
That was clear as day, that.
And but to be fair, he absolutely smoked everyone.
But quickly tell everyone where Bautista's coming from if people haven't heard that name, and what background's Bautista from?
Obviously he's came through the ranks in the MotoGP, 125s, 250 and up through the ranks. He's never been in the elite class MotoGP. He's had 3 podiums, 1 pole position. He's never been, Marc Marquez.
Yes,
he has done a good job, and I think it was last year he was on not the factory Ducati for most of the year, and then he got an opportunity towards the end on the factory Ducati, and he was right up the sharp end. Interestingly enough, towards the end of last year, the MotoGP race at Phillip Island, where World Superbikes have just been, Bautista was right at the sharp end in MotoGP. He finished 4th in that race. He was only about 3 or 4 seconds behind the leader. So
the man's no mug anyway.
But maybe that's his strongest track, and I think before the race meeting, Johnny Ray was saying it was his sort of bogey track. That he had problems there last year, and so you can't extrapolate too much from the first round, especially Phillip Island. It always seems to throw in a few sort of dodgy results, if you like, but at the end of the day, it's not like he just pipped a couple of races. He absolutely walked them. And that second race, this race 2, they're calling it race 2, but it was like race 3. If he hadn't backed off towards the end, he would have won that by about 20 seconds, a victory margin of 20 seconds, which is just incredible, isn't it?
But people are acting like he's won the championship already, haven't they? It's a long season ahead, but still, that confidence will be screaming.
Oh, absolutely. Like you say, people are taking too much from race 1. And obviously he has put a marker out there and he's stamped his authority down and obviously max points at the first round. So, it is sort of advantage Bautista. But it'll be interesting to see how, Johnny hasn't really been challenged properly.
For 4 years.
For 4 years, really. For the last 4 years.
Would you say that's fair to say, though? Because obviously the last couple he's dominated. He's totally dominated. It's just like, there you go, son.
Yeah.
But four championships in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, the toys have gone out the pram. And there was a cracking article that got released. And I think it was Jonathan. I think it was him quoted as, "We brought a knife to a gunfight." Did you see what people were putting underneath that? I think you've actually got it on the screen, haven't you?
No, I haven't actually, no, but it was something along Alex Lowe's put something about, what was it?
We've been doing that for 4 years.
Yeah, that's how the rest of us have felt for the last 4 years. But I mean, there was big problems with World Superbikes with the viewing figures going down and down and down. People find it boring because of being a clear winner.
Yes.
So it's good for the championship in a sense that somebody else has taken that front row initially, but I think it's teeing up to being a great season, and I think when they get to the tracks where there's more tight twisties, breaking points, I think there'll be some fantastic battles.
Definitely.
And we'll really see what Johnny's made of when it's
that's the
head to head. And I mean, even at Phillip Island, like the tight twisty corners, there was some parts of the track where Johnny was clearly stronger. And so yeah, I mean the sprint race, the 10-lap sprint race, that was probably the best bit of action of the weekend. And it was mega to see that. Some really good overtaking. It was aggressive. Hopefully we'll see more of that as the year goes on. And I would like to see the Yamahas up there too. So obviously the Ducati and Kawasaki at the front. There was a big group in all of the races of the Yamahas really close behind.
Yeah, it was actually a really tight field. Obviously, bar the
Bautista, yeah.
Bar the two lads up the way.
And then
the two lads.
We'll see Chaz back up the front, I'm sure, very soon.
Yes, definitely. I think it's been a great bit of drama, like you say, for the beginning of the season, because everyone's talking about it. It's right in there. And like you say, it's going to show people's colours.
And on top of that, I think we'll see a real strong showing from Tom Sykes this year on the BMW show.
Brand new one.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure they were 20. Was it something like 20 miles an hour down or 15 miles an hour down on the straight or something? That bike's pretty much a stock engine, I believe, or like. It's not a full superbike spec engine, so I think they've got a lot more to come. And I think Tom was looking very promising in testing and qualifying, but when it came to the race, he just he wasn't quite right at the front, but he still did a good job. And I think the chassis and everything's he's pretty happy with it. So yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I've got to be honest, I'm not the biggest follower of World Superbike, so I haven't been. Obviously with the podcast I'll have to pay a bit more attention, but no, I think it's teeing up to being a good season, and I'm looking forward to the next few rounds. And obviously we've had a bit of MotoGP testing as well this week, and it was.
Hold on, even before you go into those times, you actually brought up you were talking about it before we actually got the podcast going. You brought out some facts comparing MotoGP times to that race.
Yeah, so I thought it would be quite interesting just to see. Obviously, MotoGP raced at Phillip Island the back end of last year, and then obviously World Superbikes have been there. So what is it, like 5 months later or something? It's not really that long. So I thought it would be
same
interesting.
Track,
yeah,
same hot.
I thought it would be quite interesting to compare the times from the MotoGP to the World Superbikes. And I've had a look. So the fastest lap in the race at the end of last year in MotoGP was Maverick Vinales. He won the race. He did the fastest lap, which was a 1:29.6. In that sprint race, so the 10-lap race in the World Superbikes, Bautista did a 1:30.1. So he's half a second off that. Johnny Ray did a 1:30.0, so he's at only 0.4 off that. So
holy crap!
In terms of race pace, you're talking for the difference between World Superbikes and MotoGP.
You're talking factory machinery versus something you could. Well, we both know it's not what exactly you buy out the showroom, but
based on that, yeah,
it's based on that, and that you're talking not seconds, you're talking tenths of seconds. That's insane.
Yeah, so not much at all. And if you compare, so do you know how World Superbikes do your super pole?
Aye.
To be fair, they get softer tires, so you get like one flying. No, what Bradley Ray was saying about you get like basically one flying lap. Johnny Ray was on pole with a 1:29.4, so he was actually faster in super pole than what Vinales was doing in the race. So there isn't a massive difference between the two. And I mean, there's big arguments about already really about the rules, and the rules have got to be fair so that in terms of the competition, all of the manufacturers can compete to make the interesting race. And at the end of the day, it's the world of racing, but sort of more importantly, really, it's the entertainment business. That's what we're in. And at the end of the day, the entertainment business requires excitement and close racing, lots of different manufacturers all killing each other, lots of different nationalities. It's what it's all about, really. And I mean, we'll have to see what happens, but there's been talk of changing the rev limits, and already on the Ducati, I think the new bikes revving to 16,500, where the Kawasaki's, I think it's about 14.5 or somewhere around there, 14.5, 15
right,
maybe. So they've got a little bit extra on the top end, and I think in relation to speed, I mean, it's difficult to tell just off the TV, but that Ducati was definitely carrying some serious speed down that start finish straight.
Well, I've heard they're going to put a handicap on. They're going to take his front wheel out to try and level the playing field out a little bit more.
Bautista's got to take his girlfriend on the back to
Wait, hold on. Now, obviously, we write notes before these podcasts go out and stuff. And we're talking about news. Were you telling me about someone taking a dog for a lap in Cartagena or something like Cartagena or something?
I just seen on Gino Ray's Instagram, he had a backer on as well, like a female passenger, and he had a dog in like a pouch on his belly. So it looked a bit mad, like. But if you head over to Gino Ray's Twitter page, you can check that out for yourself.
I'll have to have a look.
He's also just put a picture on with his knee down, leant right over with both hands in the air, which I think he's out on one of the focused events hire bikes. So I tell you what, I wouldn't like to see Kev's face if that goes pear-shaped.
How that? Jesus, how that? I'm not even going to attempt that.
Check it out. Check it out on Instagram. But moving on, MotoGP times. I think it's teeing up to be a fantastic season. MotoGP. There's loads happening. Maverick Vinales was fastest. Quartararo on not the factory Yamaha was P2, and then Marc Marquez third. He's been getting faster and faster after his shoulder operation, but back in top 3. Valentino Rossi was P4. Lorenzo P5, Morbidelli, Polispargo, Nakagami, Petrucci, Miller was your rounds out the top 10. Beyond the top 10, we've got Dovizioso down in 15th. I don't exactly know what's going on there. Cal Crutchlow P17. Looks like he's really struggling with something. I think there was an article saying something about maybe front end feel or whatever. But he's struggling, or appears to be struggling quite badly there. Are you much of a Crutchlow fan?
No, I don't rant and rave, and I don't dislike him. You know what I mean? He just seems to fall off a lot because he's pushing like mad. I wonder how his ankle is. You know that photo we had on ages ago. I wonder what his bloody legs doing. But no, it's always good to support the local lads. You know, any Brit that's running at the top, you scream their name down.
Yeah.
But no, as far as I don't particularly follow him. Do you know what I mean?
Do you know what my favourite thing about Cal Crutchlow is?
What's that?
His post race interviews when he's for sure the bike feels good. The grip is good. It's like, you're English, man. Speak English. And I know them lads.
I'm looking at you right there, going, Cal Crutchlow. Hold on, what Isle of Man, lad? What
he lives over in the Isle of Man, but I think it's a case of, do you know when you speak to foreign people all the time, you try and like simplify your language.
Like people speak to us, you mean? They try to speak Geordie.
Yeah. But then when you're back on English TV, there's no need to keep. I mean, did you see that Steve McLaren did it when he was over managing a French team or a German team, and then Joey Barton went over to play football in France, and like in a post interview, he's going, "Du ball, It's like that doesn't mean you're speaking French just because you put their accent on, man.
I drink wine. Does that make me French?
I've got to be honest. I know it's great to support the British lads, but I'm not much of a Cal Crutchlow fan. But everyone, you've said it before, and yeah, opinions are a bit like arseholes. Everyone's got one.
Exactly, that's exactly it, son.
But yeah, looking forward to MotoGP anyway. Moving on. So over the question and answers. So we've had some fantastic questions this week on the old world of Twitter. Do you want to start us off, or have I got the first one?
Well, I'm trying to flick through the notes.
I think I've got the first one. So
go for it, son. Go for it.
So this question was from @the real treble 99, and he's put TT and then TT0 and then in brackets interest should not be classed as a TT win in my opinion. It should be a parade lap, as it's always the same team that wins. And lucky if 3 or 4 bikes even finish one lap, and then in speech bubbles race. Would be much better to see a return of a competitive 250cc race. So Dom,
yeah, start us off easy. You know what I mean? Not even a what's your favourite colour or anything like that. Straight, no foreplay, straight into the absolute dungeon here.
Well, I've got to be honest. I agree. I agree to some sense. It is a difficult one. With only 6 people in the race, you know what I mean. The thing is, it's finances, and it's obviously getting the interest in. Zero interest from the fans. I'm just joking.
It's great. Bloody hell, this is difficult because obviously I'm such a supporter of the TT, and at the end of the day, right? You know, I keep thinking, you know, before people ask you these questions, and before you answer them, it's a bit like, you know, would I enter the race? And if someone said, "There you go, Dominic, there's a battery with 2 wheels on," hell, I'd enter an offset with a pocket full of Duracells. I might even get in the top 10. You know, but no, it's a case of I'd be in it, but it shouldn't be classed to the big toll, and that is my honest opinion. Yeah, you know what I mean? There should be a win, you know what I mean? But it shouldn't be classed to the big overall petrol driven. You know, it's always been petrol bikes.
Yeah, I totally agree, and you know, I can totally understand the need for development in the. You know, there is a huge future in electric motorbikes.
It is the future,
whether you like it or you're not, whether you don't. But one thing that you've got to consider when you think about electric motorbikes, at the moment, what's one of the biggest problems for our sport in terms of testing, availability, track days? It's noise. You know, track days, the cost of fortune, the noise limits. It's such a handbrake to our sport. So you think about when you can buy a bike that has no noise, you can go on track days all the time. It'll be.
But then in the same breath, you're taking away that smell, the atmosphere, and everything. But
totally
like to say, it's the future, you know. But they are making them bigger and bigger and better. The bikes are getting more torque. You know, there's more and more power. But even quickly going back to the TT side of things, sadly, if you're not on a Mugen, I'm trying to think. There's a couple of university teams that are really taking the fight to them.
There's Nottingham University do one.
Is it Daly Matheson? Daly Matheson's on which bike? The
the University of Nottingham, Daly Matheson.
He came second last year.
He
broke the Mugens in half. So.
Yeah, and like you say, that I was actually going to ask you, because I mean, you usually beat Daly, don't you, on the big bikes?
No. Now come on. No, we split it down the middle. No, so you know.
But you give you say around the same, and then Daly's getting second in the TT0 race. So what I was going to ask you is, if you had the chance, like, would you take it on the TT0?
I would. To be honest, mate, I would race a penny farthing round there. I'd love racing around the TT course. Now, obviously, you know, even looking back at the university teams, the name keeps leaving us, man. That's terrible. But like, you're thinking like Mugen are chucking multi-million. It's Honda. Mm-hmm. It is Honda. They're chucking multi-millions there.
Well, I think I was actually reading a thing about, and John McGuinness wanted a Mugen, and I think they valued it about £1 million.
£1 million.
And I mean, if you get up close to one, it's an unbelievable bit of engineering. But like you say, if there's two Mugans out there, and to be like I say, the winner this year was Michael Rutter. He broke the record, 121, I think it was. 121.8 miles an hour he did, yeah, for a lap. And then Daley Matheson was second, 119, and then the other Mugan was third, which was Lee Johnson, and he was like 105, and then James Counton was actually fourth. But it's one of those where how can it really be a proper race when there's only 1 year I think there was only about 5 finishers. So you like you said, you could enter on an Ossett and you could get a top 6.
You could.
But
you see, the thing, like the argument is, it's like, well, if you had the money, go do it. But you're talking huge budgets here. It's like at the end of the day, we can go to the TT and you can go buy a 600. You're still within the class. Aye. You know, all these classes are oversubscribed all the time.
Yeah.
So it does make a race, even from the full factory to the privateers.
Aye.
But
I think it is also interesting. You see, you alluded to the universities getting involved, and you see all these young lads. Like I know last year there was a team, and they came over. They were all camping around it was the bottom end of the paddock. They were all camping around this little awning, and they had. All the breakfasts out on the little tables and, like proper roughing it. And they had this,
playing hacky sack with like dreadlocks and that.
they had this bike and it just had wires coming out everywhere and whatever. And the bugger caught on fire and,
the bugger? We've got a charity swear jar. Do a bit of swearing for God's sake, it taught.
Nearly burned down the paddock, bless him. But,
there goes the electric bikes.
Looking at the improvements, it'll be interesting to see, over the next 10 years of, where things get to.
Hold on. You're jumping the gun. This is Q&A, and we need to give a shout out to Mark Bullivant.
No. So I was just going to talk about the electric.
Oh,
we'll come to that. You jumping the gun.
I do apologise.
Jumping the gun. So in the electric race, the first year they ran it was 2010. Mark Miller won it on the Moto Sis bike. So the guy that used, the Sis guy, he unfortunately passed away. The American guy.
All right.
He passed away of cancer, unfortunately. But the first year they did 96.8 miles an hour.
I thought Rob Barber won the first one, or did
Wikipedia says Mark Miller. Anyway, 2010.
It wasn't a Mugen bike anyway.
No, it wasn't. Michael Rutter this year, the last TT0 race, 2018. Yeah. So the first one, 96.8. This time, 121.8. So, a full 25 miles an hour increase in 8 years. So that's some progression.
That is some serious speed, some serious
It'll be interesting, to see where that leads to. It's great technology, and hopefully that technology will then lead to, improvements, and one day we'll all be whizzing around on electric bikes to work and whatever. But like you say, it isn't the same. And especially when you're so close to you're standing on the side of the road, and it's and then it's like the TT0 race, and it's. I don't know if you'll be able to hear that through the audio, but it's just like a whisper.
No one can hear the TT0 anyway, so it's fine.
Yeah, but it isn't the same, and
we're a long way off it. But the good thing is, the TT have recognised it as the future.
Yeah.
So that's great.
Yeah.
That part of it's great. But at the moment, they've got a long way to go.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you've got to keep pushing it.
So my opinion, to sort of end it off, I think they should have a special category, and it should
definitely
be called the TT0 race win, not the. And I think it should.
It shouldn't add to the ground total.
Yeah, on overall wins, I think it's. You cannot, no matter what, you cannot compare a TT win to a senior TT. And if you're looking at overall race wins, I think everyone.
It's not a petrol win.
Everyone would agree that it's not the same. Everyone knows it. Obviously, to go out and do the speeds that the lads are doing is incredible. I'm certainly not taking anything away from them.
No. The riders are doing awesome.
It's just as a spectacle, especially for the fans, it isn't interesting.
Yeah, you have to be really. We're going back onto the subject anyway. All we're saying is, it shouldn't be. Yep, it should have its own category. But hats off to the riders, and I would, like I keep saying, I'd be in it if someone offered me a bike.
Yeah, if there's any universities listening out that want to build a bike.
If you've got a £1 million bike from Mugen second hand, I'll have a go at that as well. But Right, next question, young'un. Next question. Right,
Yeah,
that's
so
me.
yours, aye.
That's me. It's me jumping the gun for you. Right, so the next question comes from Mark Bullivan. Sorry if I got your name wrong. Right, his question is opinions on the TT based on last year's blistering results and, are we getting to a level of which is humanly and mechanically possible for superbikes?
Great question. And it's something that I've thought about a lot and asked people about. So I've done a little bit of digging, and I messaged a lad that runs, do you know, a Hardy Breed Twitter? Have you ever came across that?
Oh, yes,
Hardy Breed.
aye.
It's like a real road race and news feed.
Yes, aye.
And the bloke that runs that knows loads of shit about stuff like this. So I dropped him a message, and he got back to us. And his lot did 120 miles an hour back in 1989. DJ did 125 mile an hour in 2000. John McGuinness did 130 miles an hour in 2007. And then Hickman's done 135 miles an hour in 2008. A great statistic is that for every 5 mile an hour increase, the machines have increased around about 25 brake horsepower. So give or take a little bit.
Development's always moving forward,
which if you think about it, it is
more straight line
impressive. Exactly, aye. Each 5 mile an hour increase has taken approximately 10 years to achieve. McGuinness probably brought that forward a little bit because there was a few big improvements that year at Windy Corner and Brandish. But using the current lap speed increase, it would be obviously it's difficult to extrapolate that it's just going to keep going up and up and up. You would expect it to sort of tend to a maximum. There's got to be a maximum at some point. But if the current rate of increase keeps going up and up and up at the same rate, the 140 miles an hour barrier would be expected to be broken in around 2027. So I think
that's insane.
What do you reckon? Do you reckon you can do that?
Well, yeah, I've always wanted to do 130, so realistically, I've got to do it. but no, you see, the mad thing is, remember when Bob McIntyre did the first 100 mile an hour lap? Everyone back then was going, it can never be beaten, no one will ever go quicker. Mm. And everyone keeps going quicker. And obviously, them statistics, you put physical and science into it, you know what I mean? And safety, it is going to improve.
Even if you just put Hickman sectors with Harrison sectors, that takes it to 136.5 or something. So
and we're a long way off 2027.
2027, exactly. So, tyres improvements, bike. I think they're always improving the circuit here and there and like opening corners up a little bit.
That's it. Global warming, that's always helping.
Brexit.
Damn Brexit. Yeah, they're going to build...
But interestingly enough, the Northwest 200 before they put the chicanes in to slow things down had a lap record speed of 127 miles an hour back in 1978. So a lad called Tom Herron.
So Tom Herron.
The old circuit did have slightly longer straights, like going out to the roundabout, but the circuit is pretty much the same. So the Northwest is always around about 15 miles an hour faster than the TT. So if you think about that, like we're doing the TT's 135-ish. So if the Northwest hadn't put those chicanes in, we would be looking at around 150 miles an hour laps at the Northwest 200. I mean, that is absolutely bonkers, isn't it? But I mean, you can't really talk. You can't
that
really
noise
talk,
you did before.
Yeah, you can't really talk about the TT lap speeds without thinking about the danger. As it's got faster and faster, and despite the increase in lap speeds, the fatality rate hasn't increased. If anything, it's actually coming down slightly. And obviously, there's lots that you can sort of put that to, better medical backup and better rider training, equipment, etc. But yeah, I mean, it's important, I think, to say that because with those types of speeds going faster and faster and faster.
If it got more and more dangerous with the speed, it would be a red flag, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But the fact is, it's a horrible thing to say, but it's consistent, isn't it? It's not like gone leapfrogging forward massively with the pace. And that's a really good point, mate. And glad you brought that up. Mm-hmm. Keep people calmer anyway, especially me. There we go. So, next question. What's the next question?
So
flicking through the notes.
Yeah, Scott Rankin at Scott Rankin 1511. What bikes have you had, and what would be your dream bike? What's the most embarrassing thing to happen to you at the racing? Ever made an arse of yourself? Another pound in the jar. Keep up the good work, lads. Thanks very much. And I mean, do you wanna get started? I mean, dream bike.
Dream bike.
Best bike you've had.
Best bike I've had. Dream bike is one of them MV Augustas, you know, the 675 things.
Cool.
I love them. Absolutely love them.
Single swinging arm.
I just think they look just something out of Tron. They look awesome.
I think Lewis Hamilton's got his own sort of spec one, hasn't he? I think.
Nah, it's all right when you're a multi-millionaire, isn't it? Next question. What's
So have you ever most embarrassing thing to happen to you at the racing? Ever made an arse of yourself?
Oh Christ, man! You're asking me. I was about to say it. When do I have a sensible moment? No. I'm trying to think. What was that other one?
I've got a good one for this. If you want me,
go
to
for it.
first.
Go for it,
So
son. You go for it.
Me first ever be a superbike race. Okay, so it's like went through years and years building up club racing, British 125, 600s, 1000s. I get me shot on the superbike. It's Knockhill. It's me local round. A busload of local supporters comes up. They're all on the inside. Race one, getting ready. Me first ever a superbike race start. So I'm sat on the grid. You speak to like my team around, getting all ready to go. Yeah, do me warm up lap, and there's a procedure. The red lights come on. The lady comes out with the flag, points to the red lights. The red lights come on. I pull the clutch in, go to stick it in. As I go to pull the clutch in, I accidentally stick it in first, stall the bike.
You're joking.
No, but the worst thing about it is all the bikes I've ever ridden are road bikes. So you pull the clutch in and you press the big start button. I looked down, right, and it hadn't occurred to us up until that point. I'd never asked anybody how to start it.
You're joking.
There's just shitloads of buttons, like loads of electronic buttons. And
You're flying an EasyJet flight.
Yeah. And the mechanics always start the bike first and like roll you out. So I never actually started the bike myself. So as the red lights went on, it just went and conked out. And my heart literally just and I just thought, oh my goodness, I'm going to make such an... I could just imagine the whole grid leaving and me just sat there in silence.
Help.
With my hand up. Luckily, I pulled the clutch in and just pressed the bottom button on the left-hand side and it just fired straight up. And,
Jesus.
And as I pulled the clutch in, stuck it in first, I looked up and the lights were out, but it was as everyone was pulling away and I got away. And it wasn't such a bad start, to be honest, but my goodness, that was so close to making a massive arse.
Could have been dangerous as well.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't that many people behind, but
but still,
there was only about five or six behind us. But yeah, it's so one of those. Does anything come to mind for you? I mean, there's loads over the years of making an arse of myself. But go on.
We could be here all night, man. We could be here all night. I think on a motorcycle, not a racing incident. We have a place locally to us called Plankley Mill, and it's like a spot where everyone goes. It's like, it's something out of Greece, where everyone goes in their cars and stuff, but everyone goes swimming in the river, and you're talking hundreds and hundreds of people. And like my first road bike, I had a DRZ 400, but it was on like cut slicks kind of thing. But obviously the grass was soaking wet. But I had a huge, mega loud pipe, and everyone's looking at us, going, "Way, look at that bike! That's mint." Literally, barely got it in the first, going round the corner, I fucking roofed myself on this grass in front of all these teenagers, and you just you want the world to open up and just swallow you whole. I remember just lying down, had a face full of dirt, had a motocross helmet on, and I just thought, oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh God!
Do you know what? Another one that's just popped into my head. It's probably my worst one. So I was out in Spain, and do you know that Tito Rabat gets to practice at the Circuit of Almeria? So like every morning he goes out and he gets like an hour of track time by himself. I don't know if he still does, but all the time he was in Moto2. Well, anyway, I was over in Spain doing track days. I got chatting to the circuit owner, David Garcia, and he said, "Do you want to come out? Do you want to come out on Saturday and you can go out with Tito?" And I was out there. I was out there by myself. I was about was I 19 or something? About 19.
Bloody hell.
19-year-old, and I was out in Spain by myself. Me van, all my equipment. I'm the world's worst mechanic, and I was doing everything myself. And so he said, "Do you want to come out?" And I said, "So obviously I would love to." So anyway, dead excited. Got up Saturday morning, drove to the track. Tito came to the gate, let us in. I went there, got my bike set up, and I forgot me. Do you know the plug, the 3-pin to 2-pin thing?
Your converter.
Yeah,
Aye.
I forgot my converter, so I couldn't put my tyre warmers on. Okay, but I didn't want to drop this opportunity, so I just thought, right, well, I'll just go out, do a few steady laps, build myself up, and then get going. But obviously, I was very concerned that I didn't want to get in Tito's way. So there's just me, and at the time, he was the Moto2 world champion out on track, right? It's like the dream opportunity. So I went out, did a couple of laps, warmed myself up, and I just started getting my knee down, and then I thought, right, I'll push on a bit. And so at Almeria, you go around like 3 tight right. There's like a triple right-hander, and then there's a 90-degree left. And I went round the 3 right-handers, tipped it into the left, and just took the front, dislocated my shoulder, and I was lying face down in the gravel. Tito came round and like slowed up, so I felt like I'd wrecked his like race run, and I was lying in the gravel, and if there's ever been a moment where I just wanted the world to swallow us up,
it was then.
Yeah, I just made the biggest, melon of myself I've ever made. And
builds character, man. It builds character. It's good for you.
One of them.
But hey, awesome. Like, I think we should just wrap up the show about now. I think we've had a really good chat. We've had loads of good subjects, but mainly we've had loads of good questions from everyone on Twitter. So thank you so much for everyone that's taking the time to ask our questions. Sorry that we couldn't get through everyone, especially like Anthony Ambler and Ali Roland Rouse. He had a very, 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 very good question. So I'll go tell you in person, lad. But obviously, before we wrap up the show, what else we got?
Got our Marshal of the Pod.
We have our Marshal of the Pod. The lovely Helen Graham. So let's find out what she's got to say.
And today we're joined by the lovely Helen Graham. Are you there, Helen?
I'm here, guys.
How are you doing?
I'm good. You too?
Oh, by the way, can I just say, God love your mind. Love you, because it's 25 to 11 UK time, and it's all of us should be in bloody bed. So God love you, and thank you so much for being our Marshal of the Pod.
That's fine. Sleeping's for wimps.
Oh, I love your attitude, Helen. Love your attitude. Right, let's go straight into it.
Yeah, so when did you first get into marshalling?
Well, 10 years ago this year when I first marshalled.
All right, where was that at?
TT. It's the only place I marshal. I go through all of BSB into road racing, but I don't marshal there. I do my stint. I give back to the sport for a week of the year over at the TT.
Oh, brilliant. Oh, that's good then. So, all right, well, now, hold on. Where can we go from here then? Obviously, you're a dedicated TT marshal, which is great because at the end of the day, how many marshals do you need for the TT?
Oh, hundreds. I'm not sure how many, but it's obviously, with it being a fortnight, it's a big commitment. So people just go and do the odd day here and there. There's not a lot of people who do a full fortnight. We do a full week, but that's it. We go over the Thursday of practice week and stay till the end of the senior. So...
Oh, brilliant.
Whereabouts on the TT course do you usually get put? Or is it just
you get to choose. We always go at the Black Dub, just the corner after where Dom had his crash this year in the senior race.
Helen, you were a guest. You can't be just saying things like that. Stop mentioning the crash.
I'm being truthful.
And
God love you.
A birdie told me that you were doing a bit of pit boarding for someone at the TT this year.
Yeah, this will be my 10th anniversary at the TT, and we've always marshalled. So I've never got to watch anywhere around the TT. So I said to my other half, one day out of the week, I'd like to watch somewhere or go and marshal somewhere different, so I get to see different parts of the TT circuit. He's gone for years. As I say, that's my 10th year, but he's probably been going for 30 years maybe. So we have one day a week off. Normally have the Wednesday off. this year we were all geared up for where we were going to watch. We'd sussed out, we'd go to a few places inside the circuit so we could dash about between races, and then somebody not too far away from you put out an SOS, can someone hold my pit board out, up at the gooseneck? So off to the rescue we went and held the pit board out at the gooseneck. First time we've ever done anything like that. First time Dom's ever had a pit board, but an absolutely fantastic experience, something completely different. Again, giving back to the sport, like Marshall's and gives back to the sport, holding someone's pit board out. Again, it's helping in that way, just to give back to the sport as much as you can.
And you mentioned your partner Phil has been marshalling for 30 years. Hopefully we'll get Phil on at some point.
I don't think he's marshalled for that long, but he's certainly been going to the TT for that long, and he marshals it all the rounds of British Superbikes as well.
All right, champion.
I go along and watch and support you at that point, whereas he marshals.
Did you meet Phil through the marshalling?
No, I met him. We used to work together. But then a common interest, obviously, with the bikes, which is a pretty good job, because I think from Easter, start of the season, to October, I think we're probably at home maybe 4 or 5 weekends. Everything else we're at bike racing, and it's purely because the weekends that we're at home, there's no bike racing on. If we've got a free weekend, it's look at the calendar, where can we go, who can we go and support? It's not the same if you're not at bike racing on a weekend.
Oh, good then. Obviously, you've got a full calendar plan. So what you're looking forward to most this year then? Which event?
Probably, I think Armagh is probably my favourite that we go to, or Ulster, one of the Irish ones. TT's fab for the experience, the whole island experience, but the actual Irish roads where it's a proper grid setting off and you've got like Dyson for the lead and people going past you, that to me is more exciting than TT that's the time trial. It has its plus sides, does the TT, but I think pure racing on the roads is where my passion is, really.
Yeah.
Good on you, Helen. Good on you.
And aside from the lovely Dominic, if you had to say your favourite rider on the roads, do you have a particular person that you sort of watch out for, you follow?
This is like asking your parents which one's your favourite, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think probably I like Peter Hickman. I do like, and again Michael Dunlop. Both of those two. But I think, to be fair, there's no real rider that I don't like, because what you are all doing, whether it's on the roads or short circuit, it's absolutely fantastic. You're putting your neck on the line for our enjoyment, so you've got to respect everybody who does it.
Aye, smashing. And on that topic, do you think that Michael Dunlop is going to be able to challenge Peter Hickman and Dean Harrison for the rights of honour at the TT this year?
Yeah, I mean, he's had half a season out, but he's not gonna be in it not to win it. I think a lot depends on the weather this year at the TT, because a lot of people said that the reason the short circuit guys, both Hickman and Harrison, did so well this year is because of the track temperature, and they could actually use the track temperature to their advantage with the heat in the tyres and everything, whereas the pure roads guys maybe don't know as much how to do that. But you don't know what the weather's going to be like. It's mechanical failure, reliability, everything. It's anybody's win on the day.
Aye. And back to the short circuits. Did you watch the opening round of the World Superbikes?
Yes, of course. What else did we do?
What did you make of that?
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit of I wasn't expecting Bautista to come sort of out of the blocks as quick as he did, but then you never know. It's a new bike, a new challenge for him. He's trying to prove. And then, obviously, Jonathan Ray had said previously that was his bogey circuit from last year and had issues with tyres and wasn't confident and was trying just to kind of like get home safe and get a few points on the board. So I think it's going to be an interesting season, how it's going to go. And certainly the sprint race on the Saturday was kind of really exciting for the fans and sort of like Dyson and more of a race, really.
Absolutely. So if I've got to put you on the spot and say, obviously it's not just a two horse race, but Johnny Ray or Bautista for the title?
I think Johnny Ray. He's gonna I think he'll be more consistent over the year. He's tried and tested on that bike, but you never know. That's where the excitement is.
But bearing in mind, if you get it wrong, Helen, as you know, every marshal of the pod gets a free mug. So if you get it wrong, we take the mug back. That's the only clause for this. So hope you don't mind.
And what about British superbikes? Obviously, you're a regular BSB attender. Do you have a particular favourite in the superbike category, and who do you fancy for the win for the champ?
Favourite? I wouldn't say I've got a favourite in the superbike.
You don't have a favourite, man. Come on, just give us a favourite.
I don't think I do, really. I don't think I do with that. But I think this year, I personally think the two to watch out for, which is probably a bit controversial, is Bradley Ray and Taron McKenzie, because they're both on the same machinery as last year with the same team. Other people are kind of like moving out. You think, yeah, Brooks, it's either going to be fantastic or a complete flop. The same as Scott Redding coming in. Everyone else is on different bikes, have changed teams. Those two are on the same teams as they were last year, the same bikes and everything. So they're my two that I think will do really well this year. But I could completely flop.
Aye. Oh, well, just before we end, Helen, we've got a quick 5 questions, like a quick fire questions. Question number 1: Valentino Rossi or Marc Marquez?
Rossi.
Valentino.
Rossi.
Who is Marquez?
Right, obviously, we've already kind of covered this one, so I'm going to change it totally on its head. In your opinion, how many chickens would it take to kill an elephant?
Anything's possible. 1.
What would it mean 1? Anyway, all right, it's a quick answer. Go on, next question, Chrissy.
Out of the commentators, who's your favourite commentator?
It's gotta. I forgot what it's called now. It's gotta be the BSB one, and why can't I think of his name?
Clinical.
No, BSB Radio.
Fred Clark.
Yeah, he's so knowledgeable and he's done everything for so long. He's fab listening to him.
Smashing.
Obviously, earlier in the show, we covered one of our major questions of the pod. It's about the TT0. Should it count as a TT win, in your opinion?
Difficult one, because it's faster than.
Yes or no?
No, it's got to be. Yeah, it's faster than the sidecars. So you got to see if they can lap at that speed, then it should be a TT win, I think.
Oh, okay. So
that's good.
That's a really twist good. that we haven't really considered. So yeah, I like. Good answer. Final question: are you a tea or a coffee drinker?
Tea.
Tea,
and how would you have your tea?
Always black.
Oh, Helen, you've just got up in me book, mind you, saucy devil. I love you. Black. Like, oh, hey, good on you.
Well, thanks, Helen, thanks so much for coming on and being our marshal of the pod. And looking forward to catching up with you very soon.
I'll be calling you later.
No problem. See you soon.
Yes.
Thank you, Helen.
Bye, guys. See ya.
So big thanks to the sponsor today, Easy Grip, and big thanks to our guest, our marshal of the podcast, Helen Graham. And I guess that's it for episode 7 now, isn't it?
And we'll have to think of a name. It always comes a bit too late, but we'll have to think of a name.
But I mean, it's getting on. We're recording late in the night. What is it?
Again?
It's getting on for
March.
1 o'clock.
It's March.
Getting on for 1 o'clock.
We started this in February. It's March, Chrissy.
It is, aye. And are you up early in the morning?
Oh, Christ, aye. Trees don't fell themselves. I have to get there first.
Where are you off tomorrow?
Where am I off to tomorrow? Well, I've got to go Middlesbrough, then I'm off to Anna. Did you see the Duke of Northumberland?
Oh, very nice.
He doesn't like motorbikes. I've tried tapping him up with sponsorship. There you go. How about yourself?
I'm doing a field trip, I think, tomorrow with some, like a primary school or something, going in a forest.
I should have brought you a stick. You can hit the kids if they're out of line. Cool.
But anyway, without marching on too late into the night or any later, thanks very much for listening, and looking forward to next episode next week.
Spot on, Chrissy. Catch you later, mate.
Cheers, mate.